It's 10 minutes before the hour, and here's a quick look at the latest headlines. A Tehran radio broadcast clearly states the 52 hostages...
Sorry about that. No.
It's 10 minutes before the hour, and here's a quick look at the latest headlines. A Tehran radio Can we start over? It's 10 minutes before the hour, and here's a quick look at the latest headlines. A Tehran radio broadcast clearly states the 52 hostages could be tried on spy charges if the U.S. does not accept Iran's demands for their release. If convicted, the Americans could be executed. Israel says it will continue its attacks on Palestinian targets in southern Lebanon, no matter what Syria or anyone else does. Yesterday, the Israelis shot down 2 Syrian warplanes in a dogfight over Lebanon. And the Federal Aviation Administration says 1980 was the safest year ever for U.S. airlines, with only 1 fatal accident. The previous record was in 1933.
10,000 people gathered at St. Peter's Basilica to hear Pope John Paul II deliver his first homily of the year. The Pope called on the world to help the handicapped and to commit more money for medical research. He also said he hoped nations would spend less on armaments in the new year. Dennis Trout reports.
Che sotto lo sguardo materno di Maria.
Pope John Paul II began this year with the same sort of dedication which carried him through a number of major doctrinal pronouncements and several overseas trips last year. In a Mass at St. Peter's Basilica honoring the 14th day of world peace, the Pope noted that the United Nations had proclaimed 1981 a year for handicapped persons. Responding to that, he called for a slowdown in the arms race and greater allocation of resources to help the 400 million handicapped in the world. The Pope said that the devotion of just a small part of the world's arms budget to research for the handicapped could bring scientific breakthroughs that would alleviate the suffering of many. The pontiff talked also about hunger, noting that 27 African countries face dire threats of undernourishment and worse this year because of reduced harvests. The Pope said also that mental illness should be given special consideration and called for the dismantling of what he termed the monstrous mechanisms of the world working in favor of war. Later outside, in his customary noon address, the Pope repeated his plea for peace, condemning the terrorist killing late Wednesday of a top-ranking Italian police general. Then, departing slightly from the somber tone of his earlier remarks, he offered New Year's greetings to those who'd come to see him in 18 languages.
A blessed year of grace in the joy and peace of Jesus Christ.
Dennis Trout, Cable News Network, Rome.
Italian police now say the Red Brigade's terrorist group is responsible for yesterday's murder of an anti-terrorist police general. Enrico Galvligli was shot outside his home in Rome after attending Mass. Police say 2 men approached him with a holiday gift basket, and as Galvligli reached into his pocket to pay the men, they shot him several times. Oh, I have more. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Why don't you go to B4?
I'm sorry. Wait a minute. I don't see that on my script, though. No. No, that's the problem. I'll just do the prompter. I'm sorry.
We can cut this out. Why don't we just...
Let's just redo it.
All right, you want me to just start where Italian police now say the Red Brigades? After Dennis Trout.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Read the prompt.
Italian police. Yeah, I don't have a 3A. And 4s. Okay.
Ready when you are.
I'm ready.
Go ahead, read it.
Italian.
Sit up. Go ahead.
Okay. Italian police now say the Red Brigade's terrorist group is responsible for yesterday's murder of an anti-terrorist police general, Enrico Galvligli, who was shot outside his home in Rome after attending Mass. Police say 2 men approached him with a holiday gift basket. As Galvligli reached into his pocket to pay the men, they shot him several times. The attackers then fled. Despite police roadblocks and spot checks, no arrests have been made. The Red Brigades are still holding hostage a co-worker of the murdered police official. He was kidnapped 3 weeks ago.
A bomb exploded in London's East End yesterday, injuring no one but touching off 2 fires. Investigators at Scotland Yard suspect the Irish Republican Army may have been responsible. The bombing took place in the same area.
Start from the top, Molly.
Donna, watch that prompter.
Don't worry about it, Polly. Just she'll read you it.
A bomb? I'm going to start with a bomb.
Yeah, start right from the top of feet.
A bomb exploded in London's East... Okay? Start at the top, Donna. A bomb exploded in London's East End yesterday, injuring no one but touching off 2 fires. Investigators at Scotland Yard suspect the Irish Republican Army may have been responsible. The bombing took place in the same area where an explosion in January 1979 blew up a gasworks and an oil tank. Why don't you tape them together, Donna? That may help. You got any Scotch tape? I know, it's not your fault. It's all right.
No problem. Polly,
Yeah.
just normally, whenever you have page changes, glance down at your copy in case it's slipped.
Well, it's not a page change on my copy.
Works and oil tanks should change from P4 to P4A.
It does not on my copy because she's got the prompter from the show and I've got... I don't understand why, but on my copy, it's the whole story's on one page. Jeff, should we start over from the top?
No, Polly, we're going to add it.
Okay. Take 457. No, next story.
The next one, a bomb exploded in London's East End.
Are we just going to do one take of this?
Keeping it true. Maybe we can just do copies.
All right, Jeff?
All right, Polly. All on is roll.
3, 2, 1. A bomb exploded in London's East End yesterday, injuring no one but touching off 2 fires. Investigators at Scotland Yard suspect the Irish Republican Army may have been responsible. The bombing took place in the same area where an explosion in January 1979 blew up a gasworks and an oil tank. A suspect in that bombing escaped from jail shortly before Christmas while awaiting trial. Jeremy Hands of ITN has the details.
Behind these isolated gasworks cottages in Crow's Lane about an hour before the bombs went off that the 2 strangers were seen. They were challenged by a resident and told to move off. But nearby this morning, police found a hole in the chain-link perimeter fence about 100 yards from the gasometers. Another fence had been cut through inside the compound, and police are now convinced this was how the bombers got in and out. 2 bombs were placed against the sides of adjacent gas holders. They exploded within minutes of each other. The first quickly burnt itself out, but the second blazed for 40 minutes after the explosion until firemen took it under control.
Well, there was a very serious fire in 2 gas holders. One was extinguished fairly quickly, the other one was extinguished after about 40 minutes. But it was a very nasty situation.
Any danger of it spreading or being any worse than it was?
There was that possibility, of course, there was, yes.
As the search for clues continues, so does the hunt for escaped IRA man Gerard Tuitt, who was arrested after the similar attacks on installations at Canvey Island and Greenwich 2 years ago. The police are keeping an open mind about who was responsible, although the IRA and Tuitt are prime suspects. It'll be a week before the police discover exactly what type of bombs were used. Jeremy Hands, ITN, East London.
Former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger continued his Middle East travels today. He flew from Egypt to Somalia on the militarily strategic Horn of Africa. Technically, Kissinger is on a private trip. However, he will report to President-elect Reagan upon his return to the United States. Kissinger says the U.S. should have the use of military bases in the Indian Ocean region, and Somalia would qualify as a site for such an American base. In the 103-day-old Persian Gulf War, both Iran and Iraq claim to have battered the enemy with heavy losses. Military communiques from Iraq today said its forces killed 68 Iranian soldiers. In addition, Iraq claims it destroyed 3 tanks and 2 personnel carriers in several provinces along the battlefront. On the other side, Iran's official news agency said Iran's warplanes bombed Iraqi positions in southern Iran. Tehran claims the air raids left an undetermined number of casualties. However, neither side is declaring any major advances in the conflict.
The Soviet Union has issued a tough warning to Polish workers. The official Soviet news agency TASS said anti-socialist forces had infiltrated the Solidarity Union.
Hold it, start at the top.
We gotta start this whole thing over.
Tell me when.
Go ahead.
The Soviet Union has issued a tough warning to Polish workers. The official Soviet news agency TASS said anti-socialist forces had infiltrated the Solidarity Union and were trying to create economic chaos. But the warning stopped short of criticizing Polish labor leaders personally.
All right, hold it for a second. Look to 2. And look to camera 2.
Yeah.
And do your teeth.
Don't laugh, guys. Do my what?
Look to camera 2 and do your teeth. All right.
Anytime?
Tease me, okay?
Okay.
Go, Ken.
Coming up next on the news channel, New Year's Day cleanup.